Hi, this is Dave with Dragonglass Studios, and I'm here to show you Habit Meter, the premier iOS app for stopping difficult habits. The first thing you'll want to do when starting Habit Meter is to tap on the Personal Settings button. Here you can enter your name or a nickname if you prefer, and then your gender. Tap Done to return to the Habit List screen. The Habit List screen allows you to create and track as many habits as you'd like, each independent of one another. Let's create one now. Tap on the New Habit button. Keep in mind that any of these settings entered here can be changed at any time later on. We'll take the default that we are stopping this particular habit. Next, you'll want to name your habit. Avoid using words like stop, start, or quit in the name, as Habit Meter will add these for you whenever necessary. For this example, we'll simply call it Habit. The next option is the stop date and time for the habit. By default, it will be set to the exact second the Create Habit button was tapped from the Habit List screen. If you would like to set a different date and time, tapping on it will bring up the date and time picker. In this example, we'll set the date so that we will stop our habit 1 hour from now. This date can be either set in the past if you have already stopped, or in the future if you plan on stopping at a later date. Now, we'll set how much this habit costs and for what duration. For our example habit, we'll say that our habit costs us about $10 every week. This will be used to calculate how much you'll be saving by stopping this habit later on in the meter view. Finally, tap on the habit icon. Here you can choose an icon that represents the habit, a particular goal, or a reason for wanting to stop this habit. Tap Done when you've made your selection. Now we'll click on Create. This will return us to the habit list, and you'll see our newly created habit there. Slide the habit to the left to reveal some housekeeping options. Delete will remove the habit and all of its data, while Edit returns to the habit creation screen we used earlier, where any of the habit settings can be changed. We'll look at the Freeze option a bit later. Slide the habit back to the right to hide the options again. Now, tap on the habit to open it. By default, opening a habit takes us to the heart of Habit Meter, the meter view. With the meter view, you'll see a visual representation of the time elapsed from the habit's stop date and time broken down into its basic components, such as seconds, minutes, and hours. If the habit's stop date is in the past, the meter will count upwards. If it is set in the future, it will count down until it reaches the exact stop date, where it will reverse and then start counting upward again. Tapping on the meter will cycle through several different meter styles, so pick the one that works best for you. Habit Meter will remember where you left it, and it will be custom for each habit. Below the meter is the habit summary. This is a description of the habit and its progress, also broken into time components. It also calculates how much money has been saved so far by stopping this habit. You'll note that if the stop date is in the future, it will show how much money is yet to be spent on the habit until the stop date is reached. Tapping on the summary will open options where the summary text can be sent to various places, including social media. The options you see will depend on what social media options are set up on your device and may look different than what you see here. This is a great way to keep your support group or groups up to date on your progress if you decide to do so. You can return to the habit list at any time from the meter view by tapping on the List button. Now that you've seen the meter view, let's come back to the Freeze option. You can access it by sliding the habit to the left. Tapping on Freeze will let you know that the habit is now frozen and can be unfrozen at any time. Now we'll go back to the meter view, and you can see that the meter is no longer moving, and both the meter and summary reflect the duration between the stop date and time and when the habit was frozen. We'll go back and unfreeze this habit. Unfreezing a habit will catch it up to the current time, much like the lap feature on a stopwatch. Next, we'll take a look at the Steps feature by tapping its icon at the bottom of the screen. Steps allow you to gradually step down from a habit. Steps are not active by default. Tap on the Setup button to configure steps for the first time. Let's say, for example, that with this particular habit, there is something that I would normally do every hour, and I would like to decrease how often this occurs until I feel comfortable enough to attempt to stop entirely. The first option is to set the next step time, or the next time I would act on my habit. I will set this to 1 hour from now, although it can be anything you choose. The next option is the next step duration, or how often my habit occurs. Initially, I will set this to 1 hour and 5 minutes. Now we'll set how much we want to increment the step duration by each time it occurs. For this example, I will choose 5 minutes. This means that the steps will start 1 hour from now, the step after will be 1 hour 5 minutes, then 1 hour 10 minutes, 1 hour 15 minutes, and so on. The increment can also be set to all zeros if you want the steps to be the same duration every time. Also, you can set a negative increment if this is a positive habit where you would want to increase the frequency over time. The final option is the cutoff date, or basically when we want Habit Meter to stop alerting us that another step is to occur. By default, this is set to 1 month from the time steps are first set up. Setting this date into the past will effectively disable steps until they are set up again. If the habit stop date is set into the future, we recommend setting the cutoff date here to be the same. In effect, this will allow you to gradually decrease the duration between habit occurrences, finally stopping entirely on the habit stop date. Tap on Save to start the steps in motion. You can see that there is a mini version of the habit meter showing a countdown to the next step. As well, there is a text summary and a next step button that is currently red, indicating that it is not quite time for the next step to occur. Once the meter has counted down to the next step button will show green, and the meter will begin to count up, showing how far beyond the step you've gone. Once you are ready to continue on to the next step, tap the button, and the meter will start over, counting down from the next duration. The next step button can be tapped at any time, even if the current step is active and the button is red. It will simply move on to the next step with the next duration. You can also tap Setup at any time and adjust these settings as necessary. Every time the next step button is pressed, it will increase the next step's duration and set the next step time accordingly. These settings can be changed at any time and won't affect the current step, only subsequent steps. Next, we'll take a look at the journal view by tapping on the journal icon at the bottom of the screen. Tap on the New Entry button to start a new journal entry. Here you can give your entry a title, choose an icon that represents your mood at the time, and then fill in the entry details. When done, tap on Save to store the entry. If you have multiple habits, each habit has its own set of journal entries, independent of the others. From here, you can tap on the entry to view it. You can also slide the entry to the left to reveal options for deleting the entry or editing it if you wish. Now, we'll take a look at the Milestones feature by tapping the icon at the bottom of the screen. Milestones allow you to set up time-based goals that you want to achieve. Tap the New button to create a milestone. Here, we'll give the milestone a name. For this example, we'll call this milestone Made It 1 Hour, and we'll give ourselves something nice as a reward. As you might have guessed from the name, we'll set this milestone to fire off after 1 hour. This means that exactly 1 hour from our stop time and date, we'll get a notification that we've reached this milestone and should reward ourselves with something nice. Tap Save to store the milestone and return to the milestone list. You'll note that there is a checkbox next to the milestone. This will have a check mark in it if the milestone has already been reached. It will also show the exact date and time the milestone will fire or will have fired off. A few things to note in regard to milestones. Milestones can have negative values as well. For example, we could set a milestone for a -1 day and name it 1 day to go before stopping, and it would fire off exactly 1 day before our habit's stop date and time. Also, you can be a little creative with the milestone settings. For example, a milestone could be at 100 hours or 500 minutes, or any combination of time components, both positive and negative. And because the milestones are directly tied to the habit's stop date and time, changing that time will recalculate all of the milestones for you automatically. For example, say we are a week into a stop and have milestones set up for the first hour, the first day, and the first 3 days done. We decide for whatever reason that we need to start over and reset the stop date and time to right now. The milestones will be recalculated and reset so that we will get a notification an hour from now, then a day from now, and 3 days from now. So, regardless of changes in the stop date and time, you won't have to reset the milestones. Habit Meter will take care of this for you. As with the habits and journals, you can slide the milestone to the left for edit and delete options. Tapping on a milestone in the list will also open it up for editing. And lastly, tapping the extras icon at the bottom of the screen offers links to the Dragonglass website, an online guide to using Habit Meter, and quick access to our forums. If you have any questions, concerns, or issues with using Habit Meter, please feel free to visit our website, check out our forums, or email us and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. From myself and the Dragonglass team, we thank you for watching and hope that you find Habit Meter both useful and enjoyable.